Well, hello and happy Friday. It's Jennie with the Wolek Group here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm so grateful to see so many smiling faces for those of you who are joining us here on Zoom land. And I'm streaming to my Facebook group, Your Journey with Jennie, and I am bringing you a person that I've known for many years who has made such an impact in my life that I really wanted to share Joel Rico with you guys. And so Joel, I know you're experienced enough to just tell everybody your elevator pitch. Who are you? Where are you? And what do you do? So people can get to know you as well as I do.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for the invite, Jenny. My name is Joel Rico. I'm a real estate broker. I started my world as an engineer, and I decided I wasn't a very good employee. And so I started flipping houses on the side, and then I realized that most agents were not being very helpful. And so I got licensed, and then I've converted. I caught the real estate germ. And so I've been out of engineering and into real estate full time since the 90s. And yeah, as I started selling real estate, I had, from, from being an engineer to getting into real estate, like I was an engineer. I was good at crunching the numbers, but I was terrible at talking to people. So I realized pretty quickly I needed to learn this whole social aspect of, I didn't know how to do any of that. So I started learning and studying, and before you know it, I was the RE/MAX Agent of the Year and won all kinds of awards. And then I got all this crazy demand to teach and coach and train and all that. So I've been doing all of that since the late 90s. So I'm just super committed to getting rid of misunderstandings and miscommunications in the world. And I think every argument is a communication breakdown somewhere. And I don't know, I just got really good at solving those. So yeah, I'm consider myself a communications expert as much as anything else. So yeah.
Well,
I heard Gary Keller say real estate is a people business. It's a relationship business. So yeah, I'm much more focused on the people, and I don't care what they buy or sell. I just want to be focused on the people. So yeah.
Well, I can vouch for you on this because ever since I've ever known you all these years, I just always feel that when you're talking with me or others, you are asking questions you're really listening.
Yeah.
And I do not believe that all of us have that skill. And like you said, you had to learn how to
Yeah.
do that, right? So how did you learn how to be better at this and that makes people feel good, Joel?
Yeah. Well, so I think part of it, I'm just a really curious character. So I am authentically curious about most things, right? So, and I think one of the most fascinating things I've ever run into is humans, right? We're pretty fascinating. So the more I study and learn about human beings, the more fascinated I am. By the way, we just found some new human fossils that are like 6 million years older than the previous oldest fossil. So we don't even understand us yet. So what I've really learned over the years is that most people, especially in sales, and I don't mean to pick on salespeople, right? I am one, but most salespeople I find are just really focused on what do I need to do to get the sale? How do I get the sale? How do I get the sale? And even if you're a lovely person, and even if you're coming with a big heart, and even if you're full of compassion and wanting to help, usually just from the reputation of salespeople and much excitement from our part usually gets misconstrued as they're not listening. They're just trying to make a sale, right? So yeah, really, being committed to the person and finding out what they want and like really being of service rather than I'm here to sell. That just makes such a big difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm just interested in people more than anything. And if I can help, awesome.
So it's funny, I remember someone teaching a class on, building relationships with people. And I think someone came up to the instructor at the break or afterwards saying, yeah, how can I leverage that part?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
so, so clearly we can't. And And I think one of my greatest takeaways from our time when you have coached me in a sense was when I took a class called Language of Sales that used to be taught and that you used to teach. And
Yeah.
what, regardless of, and what I learned and heard from you back then, this was before Zoom. These were on the phone. Isn't that interesting? Dating ourselves here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And you just really taught us how to ask great questions and to build rapport and to connect with people.
Yeah.
And this really isn't necessarily what today's session is about, but I think that's what I learned from you. And what I really wanted to share today is that over all these years, Joel, it's been now 6 years that we've had a conversation. We were at Masterminds in Amelia Island.
Oh, yeah.
And we were at dinner, and we were sitting around talking about our big why, because we're dorks, and that's what we do at Keller Williams.
That's what we do at Mastermind. Yeah, for sure.
And I remember that my girlfriends were going, and as they were going, I couldn't come up with anything that felt powerful enough to even share. Like, I was embarrassed of not having a big why that motivated me to have a big life. And so then you said in your matter-of-fact way, well, do you remember what you said?
I remember the query, but I don't remember how I opened it. No.
So I think you really just opened it like very matter-of-factly, like, well, Jennie, it's just the $20 million question.
Yeah.
So for documenting sake, because I tell this story all the time, would you replay this for me in your words? Okay, go.
Sure. So the perspective on this question is, everybody's hustling for whatever, right? Everybody wants another sale. Everybody wants a little more money. And we're all trying to grow a business, and we're all, right? And I learned early on that what people want is not really all that important. But why they want it is really important, right? That's the thing that what drives our behavior is the why, not, what I want that fancy new car, so what? But why do you want that car? What's that going to do, right? So exploring the why is really where it's at. And I found in business people that finding out like where's this drive coming from, that just gave me more insight than anything else. And so I started asking people this question. If they say, hey, I'm stuck, or this is where I'm at, I would usually say, well, okay, if my goal of this question is, if I took money out of the equation, then what? And we've been so indoctrinated to chase money. Like, I need more money. I got to have more money. I got to have enough to retire. I got to have enough to do this. I need more. But the real question is, okay, if you didn't have to do that, right? What's really driving you? So the question that you're asking is, I would say to people, so, okay, if you won the lottery and you got a check tomorrow for $20 million, by the way, now 6 years later, I'm saying 50 million, 100 million, right? I want to make sure it's enough money that people, don't go up, I'd spend that. So if you had 100 million invested conservatively, it's going to make, 5 or 10%. So it's going to make 5 or 10 million a year in income. So if you had 100 million, what would you do first? And people always say the same thing. They say, I'd buy this, I'd buy that, I'd buy a shiny one of those, I'd buy a new house, I'd buy a house for my friend, I'd pay off my debts, I'd pay off my student loans, I'd do a college fund for my kids. I go, okay, your 100 million went up to 110 and you just spent 3 or 4. Now you still have more money than you had before. Now what do you do? And I would just stay on this cycle and say, okay, now what? Your 100 million is now 105. Now what do you do with yourself? Right? I do this, and I keep pushing people to say, well, now what? You still have all this money. You're still not out chasing money. Your money is growing faster than you can spend it. Now what do you do? And I would push people to the place of them being uncomfortable. And eventually they would say, like, it took 4 or 5 rounds of these questions before it would sink in, before they would like break the cycle of, I need to do it. I need to spend. The craziest thing about this, though, is every single person eventually got to a place where they'd say, oh, yeah, I would do this. This is what I would do. And my favorite part about this is I've asked hundreds and hundreds of people this question. Like, if you had 50 or 100 million, what would you do? And I've taken hundreds of people through this process. My favorite part of all this is every single person, without exception, every single person that I've taken through this exercise has eventually gotten to the place where once their needs are met, once they're comfortable, once their kids are taken care of, once they have a shiny car, like once they're no longer like, oh my God, once they're no longer in scarcity, 100% of the people get to the place where they say, I want to do something nice for the world. I want to help kids. I want to rescue puppies. I want to, help, disabled people. I want to do something for vets. I want to help single mothers. Every single person ever. Once they're no longer in scarcity, once they're no longer trying to take care of their own resources, every single person has said, I want to help. I want to make a difference. That's the most moving part for me. And then, the nice part too is once people realize like, okay, this is what I'm really up to, and they see past that I need to chase this money for me, then, now they're coming from a different place, right? They have a whole new reason for getting up in the morning. So, yeah. So what was it for you? I ran you through this exercise, and what was the piece of clarity? You're like, oh, okay, that's what I'm really up to now. What was that?
Well, you want me to read my journal from that morning at 4 a.m.?
Even better.
So I woke up the next morning after you asked this question at 4 a.m. and I was not an early riser then, and I was definitely not a journaler then, unless I was in bold and faking it or whatever. And so I woke up, and on my iPad I journaled. And so you're right, it does always get back to what's in our heart. What do we care about? Okay, so I'll read this. I would fund a nonprofit to help high school girls to figure out what they are good at through behavioral tests or assessments, because I was learning all of those myself and discovering who I was, that they would get to know themselves and how their strengths can best help them to succeed in life, college, so that they will have confidence in themselves to have and find a career, a life, a company, a partner that they love and have their best life. And then on the 23rd, thoughts since the Joel Rico $20 million question. So you're in my notes. Here were my thoughts since then, a week later. I have woken up every morning with a new passion and purpose in my life. Instead of focusing on the negatives or the things, people out of my control, I've thought about and pictured my life with a fully developed, happy team where I get to lead and motivate them, and I'm able to do what is my passion: teaching, training, mentoring. Looking ahead in my mind has forced me to be more productive and alert today so I can build it for the future. After waking up at 4:30 a.m. after the Joel conversation, I came up with the idea of helping young ladies when they're in their most insecure high school, early college days to understand themselves and their natural, I should put this on a one-sheeter, behavior, and how to best communicate and understand and work with hers. This is from my background and desire to have had someone talk to me and help me at this age. This will help them have confidence in themselves and understand that we are all different and that's okay. That we all have skills and talents that make us unique and special.
Bravo. Yeah, bravo. And so 6 years later, how has that manifested?
How it's manifested is it was real specific that morning to females, mainly because I am one, and that's what I envisioned I would have needed in life. Basically, it was me talking to my younger self.
Very common.
And then this amazing company, Keller Williams, Gary Keller, soon after, I went back to town. I got with my team. I shared this passion, and we brainstormed having a nonprofit to start doing this. And then life happens, and busy in real estate, and it got pushed aside. And then Gary created Keller Williams Kids Can, which is his nonprofit that we teach young adults 18 to 24 all of these skills and tools to get into action. And so I was in the first class of becoming an instructor for that.
Awesome.
So yeah. And then, as a team here, I teach it, and then we offer scholarships to young adults. I still feel like there's more I can do. And
Always.
I feel like that passion specifically it's not as on fire as I would like it to be. And yet all of it really goes to all of my agent friends, because helping them not waste the time that I wasted all these years of not having confidence in myself, talking to people and asking questions to make them feel important was more important than going for the sale. And that's where the loving on your database all comes from. And so I feel like I'm still living my passion every day when I get to communicate with agents. So enough about me. Thank you. Thank you for, though, inspiring and igniting those thoughts. And I think that as I see my friends here that are with us, they are all motivated, dedicated drivers who want to be successful. And we know, Joel, that so many real estate agents just grind it and burn out. And so you've been a coach for so long. I mean, what do you say to those who are lost in that?
I don't think there's one thing to say to everybody, but the questions that I might ask is, if somebody's really burned out, I would say, well, what are you focusing on? Right? So burnout usually is lack of structure or lack of focus. So, and lack of progress. So if you're getting better and getting better and getting better, there's not much burnout, right? But burnout happens when you push and push and push and push, and you're paddling the boat as fast as you can and you're not going anywhere. People get frustrated. So burnout is they're not getting results usually. So I would ask, what is your focus, and what are you committed to, and what's working and what's not working? And everybody's going to have a little bit of a different perspective on that. What I find usually with salespeople is, I think I said this at the very beginning, is when we're really excited and like hustling, that's very often misconstrued as this person just wants a sale. And so being excited for other people instead of being excited about the business, about your business, is a game changer. So forgive me. I know that I know, Jennie, that you've done this 100 times, and I'm going to chop it off at the knees. There's a very common script question that has ripped through your world, which is, hey, I'm in this contest, and who do you know that you can refer to me, because I have a big goal for this year and I'm trying to sell this many homes, and who do you know that I can help? That is so self-centered. Mm-hmm. And like the way in which I think about these is, okay, how do I feel about making that call? And if it makes me want to throw up, it's probably not the thing that I should be saying to people. And then the other side of it is, how would I feel if somebody called and said that to me? Right? If the guy that does my insurance or my stockbroker, one of these people that there's like somebody in my world called and said, hey, I have a goal of having this many new clients and making $2 million this year. Who do you know that you can refer to me that I can achieve my goals by, leveraging your friends? Who do you know that you could? I would not refer them anybody. So, I think that focus is, I'm here to grow a business. Is that going to get you some business? Yeah. But is it going to bounce a lot of people off of you? Is it going to cause some people to run? Yeah, for sure. So, I think just really being committed that, people get what's right for them, and that I help them get whatever it is that they want.
So many thoughts of what you just said, and I'll keep the snarky one to myself. I'll tell you.
No, I'm happy for the snarky one. I'll take it.
No, I'm with you. I took Bold a zillion times, the original, and it's not being taught anymore. So I can say this openly now with all of.
It's not being taught anymore?
Well, not at the old content.
Oh yeah, it got revamped. Yeah.
So the old content, every time I felt like I was wanted to throw up. I mean, all the for sale by owners. I mean, this is why the friends that are here with us, it's because they're database relationship agents, and they want to be a part of that, build their business that way. So I'm sure that they can relate. But what was standing out to me is that, once we got real clear, or I got clear about my passion and my purpose, I was able to build a culture and a team that
Yeah.
people act and behave that same way. Of course, we can always be better and give more. And then it's just becoming a part of our mission on our team is to give back to our community. So if we have had the call at the end of the year of, we have this really big goal, and when we achieve our goal, we get to give back to our community because we make donations from every closings to all of our clients' favorite nonprofits. So that was how we kind of swooped it back around. So that was going to be my question to you is, you said everybody, has in their heart their passion and their purpose. How can you coach people to discover that and then get it into their business plan somehow that does attract the right people into their world?
Well, the hard part is, getting people clear on what they're really committed to. Like, right, do the $20 million question or $50, $100 million question and get real clear. Once the money's off the table, what is it that's driving you? So once you get clear to that, how do you institute it? I've seen people do it a lot of different ways. I have an old client named Mark who's up in Maine, and Mark says, I think it's 10%. I think it's 10% of all of his net income goes to this local animal shelter. Mm-hmm. And then every year he does this thing where he shows up at the animal shelter and they have a party, and he gives them a 4-foot-long cardboard check, and he gives them he sells a lot of houses. He gives them an insane amount of money.
Yeah.
And it's, like you and helping kids get rooted in the right direction. This is just something that he's very passionate about. And so it's on his website, it's on his business card, right? 10% of all of our proceeds go to I don't think it's the SPCA, but something like that, mm-hmm. go to the local animal shelter. And so, think of all those people that love dogs and cats and want to rescue strays. Why wouldn't they use him as their broker? Because they have a common mission. So once you get real clear that, you're here to, make a difference in the world, not I'm here to be a millionaire, I'm here to make a difference and help the world, then everybody wants to be a part of that, right? And people are going to jump on. So whatever your mission is, get it real clear and let everybody know that, like, any connection that you have with Jennie or the Wolek group, you are contributing to this mission. I feel good knowing I'm going to be using a broker that they're just not making money. They're running this business and they're, uplifting the kids in the neighborhood or in the district. But that alone gets people that want to be a part of your cause.
So recently I attended a training that you were doing. I know you're doing a new coaching program. And in your little intro, you trained on some real specific things that can help agents build rapport and connect. Do you want to share any of those as I want to give the agent?
And the stuff that I have trained on?
Yeah.
Sure. So, well, I think for me, the most important one is my first degree is in engineering. So I think like a very strategic nerd. So that's really helpful. And then when I moved into real estate, I realized that I'm a relatively intelligent character. But my communication skills were lacking. So I studied communication mostly, and I became an NLP master practitioner, which is neuro-linguistic programming. I studied a thing called NDE, which is neural design engineering. It's an offshoot of hypnosis. And I also became a licensed hypnotist. So the thing that has me most fascinated is, how does this between our ears, this gray matter that drives us, how does that thing work? And how come, why do I believe what I believe? And why do I think the way I think? And well, I thought there was some breakdown between me and this other person, but they didn't seem to feel it. Why did I think that? So just trying to figure out, how my brain works has been most of that. So from all of that training and from clients, I sold a house for a guy that was in the FBI, and he invited me into some FBI weapons training. So I got to do a bunch of that. And then through that group, I got invited to do, by an ex-CIA guy, I got to do their lie detection training. So pretty much anything that has to do with the quality of how ideas move back and forth with people has really been the cornerstone of what's fascinated me. So Yeah. Was it one of those or something else that I
Yeah,
missed?
no, all of that is yeah, all of that. And then when you were training on, just very simple ways to talk to people,
Yeah.
what's an easy little lesson that they can walk away from here today?
I'd say the most obvious one that most everybody can use that most people don't is some sort of acknowledgement, right? So when we're talking to people, and I'm just going to make this up, Jenny will say something like, "Oh my God, I got this cool new car. It's the prettiest shade of blue, and oh my God, I'm so excited about it." And then the other person would say, like, "Oh, Blue, my dog's name is Blue. It's an Australian Shepherd, and she's a blah blah blah." And then the other person will say, "Australia, I've always wanted to go to Australia." Right? So usually the way people listen is they listen for something that feels common, something that I can grab onto, and then, oh, well, let me tell you my experience about that thing. So the piece that's missing is the acknowledgement piece, right? So the most powerful way to do that is to not, most people want to steal the microphone and say, oh, let me tell you my thoughts about that. Instead, I want to say, "Oh, you got an awesome new blue car. Good for you. What did you get? How did you pick that car? Oh, really?" Right? So I want to, as a salesperson and as a facilitator of discovery conversations, right? What I really want is I want to be the host of a discovery conversation where all the good stuff bubbles up to the surface. And usually my preferences are not part of that discovery conversation. So yeah, I want to host that conversation such that Jenny's going to tell me everything about it. And so I want to keep the conversation over there. I want Jenny to keep the microphone. And every once in a while, I want to come in and go, "Oh, really? How'd you pick that one? Oh, that was a really good choice. What do you, on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think of that?" Right? And I'm just going to let her talk. And every once in a while, I'm going to say, "Oh, really? A 9? Wow. What would make it a 10? Right? So I'm just going to like jump in with a question. And my goal is to keep that conversation going and keep the conversation over there. Right? I want my client, my prospect, my buyer, seller, whatever, I want them to totally dominate the conversation. But I'm going to control the direction by saying, "Oh, that's a really good idea. How'd you pick that?"
Love that.
So that giving them a little acknowledgement, saying, "Oh, that's brilliant. And what about this?" Just that will transform the relationship instantly.
I thought of one more I want you to share.
Okay.
You're so good at explaining how we get them to agreement.
Yeah.
How's that work?
Well,
Why does that work?
so the short version of that is back up one conversation where one person says, "Oh, you got a blue car. My dog's name is Blue." So what happens is most people are looking for the thing that they feel comfortable talking about. And, how can I put my foot back in the conversation? "Oh, I have a blue t-shirt too. Let me tell you about mine." So instead of that, what I want to do is I want to find, instead of saying, "Oh, let me tell you about me, let me steal the microphone." Instead of that, what I want to do is I want to listen to the whole whatever and find the common ground. Right? So what most people do is they'll say, "I just saw this new movie. Oh my God, it's the best movie ever." And I'll say, "No, it wasn't the best movie ever. I think the best movie ever is this one." So immediately I'm starting by disagreement. Instead, I want to say, "Well, the best movie ever. Wow, tell me about that." Right? So I want to find the common ground. So what was it about that movie that made it the best movie ever? And they'll say, "Oh my God, it was this crazy sci-fi, blah, blah, blah." So whatever it was, I want to say, "Oh, I love sci-fi. Tell me more." So I want to find the common ground. So
Where we see this a lot and going to real estate agent lingo would be a seller wants X amount for their house.
Exactly. Wow, you're 5 seconds ahead of me. I was just going to say that.
Oh,
So
sorry.
if a seller says, "Hey, I don't care what the comps say, I want 4 million," right? And I don't have data to support 4 million or whatever, a million, whatever. And so instead of saying like $1 million, can I have some of what you're smoking? Because these numbers don't line up, right? So instead of making them wrong, I'm going to say, oh, 1 million, that'd be great. I'd love to get $1 million for this house. That'd be awesome. I'd love to get 1,500,000. That'd be even better. Right? So before I have any sort of response, I'm going to say, that'd be great. That'd be amazing. I'm going to agree with whatever they say. Oh, I can, even if I don't fully agree with, I never fully agree, right? I can mostly agree. But even then, I'm going to say, oh, $1 million, that'd be awesome. Right? And now I can say whatever I want, but first I'm going to say, oh, yes, $1 million, that'd be amazing. That'd be great. Then I can say, well, can you show me how you came up with that number? Right? To help me understand how we can justify that number. But if you skip that part, and if you just go like $1 million, where'd you get that number? Right? Now I'm no longer an ally. Right? Now I'm an adversary saying, that's not right. This isn't going to work. That's not true. Instead, I'm going to say, yep, that'd be amazing. And so if nothing else, remember this, the most simple pattern when it comes to setting up some sort of agreement, my response is always some version of, yes, that's a great idea. Yes, that's a good point. Yes, I can appreciate that, comma. And what about this? Right? If you remember nothing else, remember that. Hey, the other agent said they do it for 4%. I go, yeah, there are some agents that'll do that really cheap for sure. Yep. And I can appreciate you wanting to save money. And why are you hiring a professional negotiator that's giving up their money and giving up your money as their first step in negotiating? Why is that? Why are you doing that? So no matter what, I'm going to say, yep, that's a great point. And what about this? Yeah. Right. Just that will change the tides for sure.
It does change it, and they see that you're working for them and you care about their interest.
Yeah, and the thing that most agents don't get about real estate is what they're really looking for. What they're really looking for is they're looking for somebody to represent them, right? They're looking for somebody to represent their best interests and to represent their estate and to represent their equity. And they're looking for somebody to speak on their behalf. That's really what you're doing. Like hiring an attorney, they're hiring a real estate broker to represent their real estate estate or portfolio. They're looking for somebody to represent them. And if they say, well, we want this, and you go, that's a dumb move, you're not representing them, right? So the real question is, what happens if they do have a dumb move? What happens if they say, well, I want to do this, and you think, oh my God, I wouldn't let anybody I love do that. Are you kidding me? This is a fatal mistake, right? Then I'm going to follow the same pattern. I'm going to say, yep, I understand why you'd be attracted to that. I see why that might seem like a good idea. And have you considered this? That's it. So just that will change the table, right? Let them know that you heard them. Let them know that you're on the same side. Yeah, that's such a big game changer. And in real estate too, like they're not real estate experts, but hopefully we are. And so in most cases, you're going to know more than your client knows about real estate in most cases. And in most cases, they have whatever ideas they have. And so they think, whatever, hell, I'll just sell it myself. Yeah. Yep. You could. It happens. People do it. It's totally possible. Yep. You could. And have you seen the statistic that says that for sale by owners sell for like 12% under value? Sure, you save a few points in commission, but you give up 12% of equity. Have you seen that? So always take their side first. Always. Right? Because they're shopping for somebody who's going to be on their side.
That's so valuable. I got so much from our time here together. Joel, do you have anything going on that people can find you, follow you, sign up for any kind of training with you?
Sure. So you can just find me on Facebook, of course, Joel Rico. And then the course that you took was called The Language of Sales. There's a whole long history. I won't bore you with all that now, but I taught that course for a year, and then that course evolved into the next generation, which was called The Language of Agreement. And I taught that course for 3 or 4 years. And then now that work has evolved once again. And now it's a multimedia thing. So it's a slideshow and a Zoom call and all that. And it's now called Persuaded. And it's the Persuaded workshop is now part of Forward Coaching under the Ben Kinney umbrella. So we just launched one a couple weeks ago. They are recorded. If you want to jump in, you can jump in late and listen to the first call or two in recording. And then if you want to be in it, the next launch will probably be after the first of the year. So yeah, and I'll send a link to Jennie so she can share it with all of you guys and yeah, all that.
There's always so much value in hanging out with you. I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
You bet. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have an amazing Friday, and let me know some feedback if you guys learned something here today. Post it below on Facebook. Bye, Joel. Have a good one.
All right. Bye, everybody. Happy holidays.
Bye.